something different, something I love, and that's sports. Today we're going to talk about sports and mental health and how our athletes feel when they're doing the thing they love and all that. So with me I have here a guest who's very famous, plays for a very good team, FC Leopards. His name is Mang'oli, and I'll let him introduce himself so as to get to know him and what he does more. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. As Myles has said, my name is Mang'oli. Not yet retired. For the last maybe 1 year, I've not been on, so maybe some people asking where is this guy. But so far, still playing. Been an official of the players' organization. Currently, since we are not on, sports was stopped for a little bit. And just helping up the boys in Kahawa, and also maybe trying to imagine myself maybe 4 or 5 years from now, because I know football is a very short career.
You know, actually also play a different kind of football. in our area, we call your football soccer, as we call it football. Which is American football. The one in Msana Rusha, quarterback and all that. So that's what I play. So us playing different but similar named sport is kind of good. But I'm happy that you came. And I'm glad to have you here. And this discussion will push forward our ways in terms of understanding what we need and how to protect our sportsmen and women in our country, so as to be able to have, good mental state and to invest in them, in their time, in their mental state. So thank you for joining us. And I'll start with this most simple, like, what are you doing now since with all the COVID things, hakuna much activities with the ban of social gatherings and sports. So what are you doing?
First, it's so sad because, as we always say, we want to take football as a full-time job. That is what we are. We are footballers. Just like somebody anatoka hapa anaenda ofisini, we also want to feel that hii ni kazi yetu. Unaona? So it's very sad on our part, because we cannot be competitive as we are used to, because the only way what tuna feel we are doing what we are blessed with ni kama tuko uwanjani, and unfortunately sahi we are not doing that. But anyway, ni understandable, because hii ni kitu, it's all round, may affect watu wengi. But sahi currently tunapata wachezaji wengi. Let me not sema mimi. Hii time inatupea time nzuri ya kujifikiria, to think about ourselves, because just imagine for the last 1 year, normally what tunakuwa tumecheza kitu kama 40 to 50 matches, but currently napata we've just played like, let's say, 20 matches. So how are we utilizing hii time ingine yenye hatujakuwa tunafanya anything? So it gives us time to realize kwamba after football tunaweza fanya nini, na hii ndio time unaweza fikiria hivyo. So it's a very good time for footballers kama mimi, because itabidi sasa nafikiria what if football haitakuwa, ama just imagine umeretire. So it gives us some time kujifikiria, kusema kwamba in case, because we don't know when normal will resume, because sahi tumeenda, this is the 1 month tulianza, we stopped, we started, now we have stopped, now we don't know when we will start again. So wengi wetu like me nasaidia hapa mtaani tu. Kuna hapa team Deportivo, nasaidia, can impart what we have kwa vijana. So that is what I've been doing currently, apart from zile shughuli zangu za kando, biashara kidogo. That is what we've been doing, some of us and many of us footballers, because si watu wa ofisi.
Actually, when you have mentioned about when unasema, you have to think about what's next in period when you like you're not doing.
Yes.
You just reminded me about sisi, hata sisi kama American football, unajua pia sisi tuko limited with age. The more you stay, the more your body gets tired. So unapata some athletes, especially the ones who play, like for example American football, time yao iko limited. Kama mimi say at the age I am, like maybe I have maybe one shot, ya kucheza in a professional manner. And if it doesn't happen, like my body, like mwili uchoka. So when unasema, I think right now players should be, athletes should be thinking about the way forward, like not only to depend on sports when unasema, but on other things to do, especially on like I feel like in Kenya, like we're not, the sports men and women are not taken care of in the best way forward. Like tunaaminia sana stories za jobs za ofisi, like zile za pata degree, hii ndio itakusave maisha, and you're not thinking about that in terms of sports you can succeed sana. See, so because of that challenge we have, like atuja normalize kuchukua other occupation as a when you umesema job, like the full-time job. No. So I think we need to like normalize in terms of appreciating sports in our country, sportsmen and women, like tunawapatia, we treat them right, tunawapea hiyo opportunity ya grow in that field wenye wako. So for example kaka Kenya nakuuliza, as a footballer kuna challenges gani experience, especially let's say mentally?
I think the first thing tunatakana tujue, most of the footballers napata, let me say like 95-96%, some of them don't come from well-off families, and not even footballers, most of the sporting talents we have, whether in rugby, whether in football, maybe 2-3% maybe come from, so they are just doing it for the sake of doing. But unapata sisi, the margin, there's a thin margin between failure and success, because unapata maybe that is the only option for the 96% wenye hawako well off. So unapata if you fail, it's like you are done in life. So unapata wengine wetu, maybe I'm lucky enough niweza kwenda university. Nilikuwa napambana na ball na bado niko shule. I'm lucky enough. Maybe not many of us are lucky. But unapata challenge number 1, unapata we get into this. Na wengi wanaingia kwa football because that is the only option. What if you fail? The only option umebaki nayo. Unaona? Because unaweza penda kazi, unaweza kuwa ball ni passion, unaweza kuwa nini, na mtu akafanya akaenda ofisini, but because umebaki na football peke yake, unajipata umeingia pale, uko na pressure, maybe maadhe ama father anakuambia, kijana wangu, you need to do this because this is your only option for now. So unapata you have a lot of pressure, kama ni pressure sasa. And that is why unapata most of the footballers nikiwasikia, mtu anafanya, the first thing anafikiria ni kuthank baba yake ama mama yake na family, because unapata wengi wao ni kama that was the only option, na ile support amepata kutoka kwa family, friends, unaona. So unapata hiyo ni pressure. That is a very big challenge for some of us. Number 2, because we are not taking football kama a job, but the conditions are not very favorable. So unapata you are using too much energy, but in output is very high, input inakuwa, unaona sasa. because nafikiria hii kazi yenye tunafanya inatakana ilipwe vizuri. So unapata conditions, the fields are not well, ko substandard. We are not complaining, but tunajua we can do better. Because the pitches are not good. Some of the teams, for example, if I'm Premier League out of 16, when you trickle down to the lower divisions, if the Premier League cannot have medical insurance for all the teams, what about the lower teams? So unapata in case hata umie, in case you get injured, hiyo ni stress. Unapata any sport, most of the time it's both physical and mental. Those are the most important things. Physically and mentally you have to be top notch. So unapata if ukiweka hizi all the factors ukiziweka, you are not training on a good pitch, you are not being paid very well, you don't have medical insurance, maybe very little support from the government. Like now, some of the players now don't have anything, to be honest. So unapata very challenging being a sportsman, not just a footballer, sportsman in Kenya.
Hapo na kuelewa sana, especially kwa hiyo part whereby you're saying physical and mentally you have to be strong and all that, and your part ya input pia, like you're giving it your all, but what you're getting in return and anishi. So like kuna time ushai quit kucheza football?
I've never,
but have you thought about it?
I feel because I've been in the football industry, the top level, for the last, I think, 10 years. There are so many challenges, so many. Those are some of the ones I've given you are just a tip on the iceberg. There are so many challenges. Some of them are minor, some of them hit us directly, some of them hit us indirectly. But so far, I always thought that was my vision. The only way I'll give up is when I'm retired. And it doesn't mean to give up, because I still want to give something back in sports, whether as a coach, in whatever capacity, because I know what I can give back in whatever way.
So because kuna instances like we have heard of some of these sportsmen and women, I won't say some of their names, but some of them have gone through depression, like like they were on their top, like they were at their best performance while playing whichever sport they were doing well, they are representing our country well, looking internationally, but again the government in a way forgets them. Like, as when tunasikia like hawajapata hii na hii, hawajapata na hii, so vitu kama hizi, like tunaweza, how can we help, like in terms of mentally to prepare ama to help our sportsmen and women so that they can continue support, like making us proud as a country, as a nation, they represent us huko nje, because I think all Kenyans are always happy when an athlete huko nje ameperform vipoa, ameinua flag yetu, and then we're like, hey, huyo ni wetu, that's a Kenyan and all that. So but now when it comes to problems, the issues, the challenges they experience, wamesaulika now, until maybe someone either is about ako kwa sick bed, anaenda kukufa, alafu mtu once amekufa ndo unaanza kuona people coming out, these sports organizations coming out and saying, oh, we need to help out here and there, like when someone is already dead, when someone is not there. So tunaweza saidiaje as as a sports organization, or even as people who love sports, fans who are these sportsmen and women, how can we help these people to achieve their ultimate position in terms of sports, and also how to help them mentally to be strong, not to experience depression, not to experience suicide and all that. How can we help them?
I think first we should be honest enough to know that the government only comes in indirectly, not directly, because all these sports federations, if I talk of football, we have our own federation, hockey, own federation, American football, I know in a while we'll have your own federation. So first, what is your federation doing? What is your federation doing? Because number one, if a footballer, a sports person, a footballer or a soccer player, for a fact, maybe anapata mental challenges, number one, it is not the duty of the government, because the government only will get in touch with the player through the federation, and all the stakeholders involved in there. See, the football circle, because we have the federation, we have now the clubs, club chairman, we have the coaches, we have the players organization. So it is not it's not always about the government, but still government inaweza saidia sana. Mimi najua issues za for example, nikikwambia issue ya football, sana FIFA does not allow involvement ya government kwa football matters. Example kama for example watu wanaenda kotini, that is not allowed na FIFA, because hiyo ni one of their statutes. Hawataki football matters kuwa so in government inakuwa involved sana. The government can come in because wako na duty, unaona, but na feel kwamba federations wako na big part ya kucheza. Federations wako na big part ya kucheza, because kama saa hii I know for a fact less than 50% ya wachezaji wameacha ball, wako poa. Less than, not even, let me say less than 20%, because wengi wanaacha hawana anything. Na mimi I cannot fault the players, because nimekuambia mchezaji ana mzigo kubwa sana. Footballer, for example, a sportsman anakuanga na mzigo kubwa, because wengi wao like I said before, umebeba mzigo wa nyumbani, umebeba mzigo yako, umebeba mzigo wa marafiki, unaona. So unapata whatever you are getting, maybe ni mingi, you can say maybe kuna people are getting money, tunapata pesa. We are not saying that tujakuwa tunapata ama tulipwi. Sometimes issues za payments they can arise, but na feel gava through the federation nahitaji kama advice ya wachezaji, nahitaji mob organizations kuje na to advise, because saving is not for everybody. Saving is not for everybody. Na it's not a culture. Kenya hatujakuwa na hiyo culture ya kusave. I think after COVID imehit watu, ndio watu wakaanza kufikiria kumbe saving is good. So kuna programs mingi federation inafanya, players organization inafanya. I think napata pia coaches. These are some of the things hao wenyewe wanaweza sema, because some of the coaches wenyewe wamepitia the same situation. Wengi wao walimaliza ball, hawana anything. So umepata another chance, saidia huyu mwenye anakuja apate, because saa hii maybe you can feel like you said, saa hii unaweza feel ulikuwa unapata something. What about 10 years from now? Because football, like kila mtu anajua, any sports ukifika 35 36 an intense sport like unapata rugby, football, your American football is not a sport yenye utaniambia mtu atafika 40 years bado anacheza. So ni kitu span of 10 20 years. What can you get, what did you amass within that period? And sometimes unapata is not enough. Sasa unapata pia tunajipata kwa ile situation umejua football for your whole period. Football. What about your football haiko? That's why tunahitaji federation. Wakuje, if it's about educational programs, at least tunaanza kuprepare mapema. Maybe sijawahi jipata kwa hiyo situation, so I just feel ni normal. But sahi footballers ndio wameanza kuwa kumbe maisha unaweza amka tu na unalala, unaamka unalala. Unaona? So si kitu tumezoea. I have a story of a player alikuwa anaitwa Daniel Aga. He was a former footballer, Liverpool in Magic. Na alikuwa anasema it's very hard after football. Not because because akona pesa, but anasema kuadjust ni ngumu sana. That is the hardest part kwa any sportsman. Nimezoea kuamka 7, I go for training up to 11, na kuja nimelala. I drink football, I walk football. Once your football iko, that's when unajua ngumu. So federation should do a lot, but as footballers also we should be wise enough. Kujua kwamba after 40 years, after 35 years, it's now ni wewe. It's not about Mang'oli footballer. Sasa ni Mang'oli unakuwa a Kenyan. Kujua footballers sometimes unasahau. It's like your name inakubeba. So after 35, after 40 years, now unapata sasa unafanya vitu kama Mkenya, not as a footballer. Hiyo ndio kitu lazima tukumbuke sasa.
Sawa. Like for me okay, venye umesema pia sisi American football tuko na federation yetu. And I'm getting your point whereby unasema the federation should put more effort, na venye tu umesema kazi mingi kwa athletes wenyewe, si ndio? But I think now they should both of them should correlate. True. Federation na find out challenges gani mna experience, what can we improve. Ona players wanasema things and things, yeah. This and this, and then the federation be like sawa tutafanya hivi, and maybe they can also talk to the government, because I think the federation is a representation of the players to the government. So I believe that when it comes to the mental health of players, yeah, federation have to step in, wajue wait, tunafaa kuangalia our players in terms of where mentally they are. How can we help them? Sure. How can we help them boost finances? Because when you say kila mtu ametoka different background. Sure. Kuna mwenye tu anajua football. Sure. No. Agenda shule. Sure. Anajua futa. Sure. Atajua just stories za kusave. See, vitu kama hizo. So the same way the federation has an interest to grow a sport, it's the same way it should take its interest in building that sportsman or that sportswoman. There was a time ulikuwa umeenda kucheza nje, right?
Yeah.
Tuambie your experience.
It was a very wonderful experience. Because unfortunately enough, maybe I didn't get a contract, an official contract. That was the third time. But it just opened up my mind a little bit, because I think you get to a point. For example, I've been in Kenya for the last 10 years. I've played for all the teams I would have wanted to play for. I've played for my nation. But it gets to a point where you need another challenge. Yeah. Because I feel like it got to a point where I felt like I just needed a totally different environment. And when you get there, you unapata kwamba there's a lot that tunaweza fanya, because infrastructure lazima iko, unapata uwanja, unapata the way players are treated, the way the stakeholders take football. Unapata ni kwamba una feel ni kwamba there's a lot to do hapa nyumbani, because I think the levels are not that different, but sometimes inapata ni motivation. Na motivation si kukuja kuniambia leo Bena leo cheza fiti. Sometimes motivation inakuja in a lot of ways. Motivation ni making sure maybe I have an insurance, so that nikienda pale uwanjani push myself to the limit. Motivation ku make sure nikifika end month, labda nafika end month nikiingia kwa KTM, I think naona mambo yangu iko sawa. So kuna vitu mob tunatakana kufanya. I think we know all about them, but ni kitu lazima i-coordinate. Unaona? Usipo coordinate, ukiachia federation alone, they cannot do that alone. Lazima ukuje hapo, chairman hawezi fanya peke yake, the coaches cannot do it alone, the players cannot do it alone. So lazima ukuwe na chain of coordination, because unapata huko wewe mwenyewe unamuna ni kama uko in a different world. Unaona, wewe ni mzuri, unapata vitu ziko tofauti, the way watu wanakutreat, una feel uko poa. But unfortunately I didn't get a contract, so nimekuwa tu, I think I got some offers, but I was thinking about them, but honestly I didn't want to commit myself hapa Kenya. I think my time in Kenya is up. That was my thinking. But if it gets to a point where I feel like options zangu ziko limited, I will commit myself.
So unaweza advise aje someone who maybe has an opportunity to play in another country or internationally, unaweza advise aje achukue hiyo contract deal ama? Because coming personally, kuna time I was invited by a team in Netherlands to play for them for American football. Actually this year too. Was it this year? Yeah, it was actually this year. And the way COVID is going, sikupata chance. Ilikuwa inafaa kuanza Feb. The league was starting in Feb. So unaweza advise aje msemo mwenye ako na hiyo chance, opportunity. Pia finances ina matter when you get these opportunities. So finances ina matter. Maybe kama unaweza pia flight ticket, accommodation, because pia kuna camps. So there's another way, like unaweza grow in the sport individually by going for those camps, international camps. Unapatana na ma scouts wanakuona. So advice gani unaweza pea that young boy stroke girl out there who wants to take sports so serious? Because I've seen so many young boys, so many young girls. Kwanza hata nimeona madem siku hizo wanajua soka mbaya. Wanajua poa sana, like their talent iko. So what advice can you tell such youngsters to do?
Kwanza mimi ningeanza kuambia kwanza federations and all the stakeholders, we need to find a way ya kuabsorb all these talents, because number one, if I'm in Kenya, kama mimi ni Mkenya, I'm a Kenyan footballer, number one, my primary objective itakuwa ni kucheza Premier League and the national team, for example. Can you imagine Form 4s, for example, the Form 4s who have done KCSE, maybe we have like 10,000 footballers, the whole country. Where are we going to absorb all these people, all these players? So number one, before we talk about the player, we should talk about stakeholders. Where are all these going? Where are all these players going? Because we cannot all play for the national team, we cannot all play for the Kenyan Premier League. Yeah. Because not all of us can get all that opportunity. But kwa ule anakuja upcoming, I'm talking about sasa wale upcoming, na ule mwenye saa hii ana train, opportunities ziko, but lazima we have to be honest, tuseme ziko limited, but ziko. So ni wewe, number one, inaanza na wewe. All starts with you. Anything inaanza na wewe. Onyesha unataka hiyo opportunity, because opportunities are there. Mimi nisipokuona, Myles atakuona, because kuna coaches wengi sana. We have so many scouts, tuko na teams mingi sana. So one of the things nataka ku credit of federation, say we have so many leagues. Paka huko the lowest of the leagues pia unapata they are functional. So kitu ya kwanza, get somewhere unaweza cheza. Sasa najua kuna form 4s, kuna wale hata vijana bado mtaani. Get yourself uko kwa system. Kama ni training, unafanya training. Opportunities ziko limited, but they are there. But onyesha unataka. Number 2, lazima ujue obstacles ni mingi sana. Challenges ni mingi sana. Tumefika ile point yenye we don't need to lie. Kwambia mchezaji akitoka shule unamwambia mpaka mafuta, unamwambia huku nje unaenda kucheza, after one week umwambia utakuwa umeenda Europe. It's a lie. But kitu ya maana, scouts wamekuwa wengi. Camps sahi is nice, sahi unapata kuna international camps nafanyika. Hata just a week ago, I think a week ago, kwa naona paka sisi Sampdoria, they brought their camp here, somebody organized for that. So kuna opportunities mingi sana, but you should always show the urge that unataka kuwa part of that. Because mimi naweza kuambia football iko na watu wengi sana. There are so many players. Imagine kila team iko na 30 players. Only 30. You can imagine the amount of talent ziko hii Kenya mzima, and one team can only have 30. So pia naweza encourage teams wakuwe na youth teams, because the only way unaweza absorb hizi talents zote, you have the youth teams. At least unaweza sema every Premier League team, na ilikuwa program for, I think ilikuja ikalegea kidogo, but it was a good program, because team zote kulikuwa paka na ile youth tournament ya the Premier League teams. So tujaribu, it's so hard. Naweza kuambia from a point of knowledge, because labda tumekuwa lucky, tumekuwa absorbed in the system, but si rahisi kwa everybody, but you can always be one of them when you are lucky. Ndio.
Kanaweza kuuliza, can athletes consider mental health ama mental challenge to be an opponent when it comes to playing a sport? It is, yeah?
Sana. That is why unapata inakuja in so many ways, because when we are talking mentally, most of the time we are talking the psychological part ya mchezaji, na pia inatokana tu na pressure, because kama mchezaji, when I go to the field, mimi najua ni lazima nishinde, what if I lose. Kizu unapata teams, they have psychologists, because wanajua people deal with mental issues differently. Kuna wale wanaweza handle, kuna wale wakifungwa wanaweza jifungia, kuna wale wakifungwa inakuwa ni kesi tofauti, anaweza hata waongeleshi watu because kuna ile pressure. Unapata pressure ni ya fan, pressure ni ya coach, unaona. Hiyo bado inakuja kwa kuna pressure, a lot of pressure. Wewe mwenyewe uko na ile pressure, Jumadhe anakuangalia, Fadhe anakuangalia, unaona hiyo ni pressure pia. So unaenda kwa uwanja ukisema I need to give my best, but what if you don't give your best? Ama your best is not enough for that day. Unaona, tenda home ukijua I have failed my father, I have failed my parents, I have failed my teammates, I have failed my team, I have failed my fans. That is the first pressure mtu anapata kama mchezaji. Unaona, not even the part ya financial inakuja, but nikistep kwa uwanja, my first pressure ni performance, because najiuliza mentally, nikimaliza hii game after 90 minutes, how will I feel? Nitakuwa nimeshinda? Because nikishinda, najua hiyo ni joy kwa team. Hata hivi nikifungwa, number 1, unatengeneza jina yako. Pressure, unatakana ucheze vizuri. Kila mtu ana aspire kucheza national team. Hiyo ni pressure. That is pressure enough. Mental pressure. Pressure, lazima maintain your number. That is pressure. People talk of pressure, mambo ya pesa, but we don't always ambia watu kwamba the first pressure inaanza na mchezaji kwa uwanja. Pressure number 1, lazima niende nishinde. Hiyo ni pressure. That is pressure. Unapata games zingine, I have been in situations where I feel mchezaji anapata game, anaenda kucheza FC na Gor Mahia. Mimi ni captain. I was the captain. Kuna mchezaji halali. From Monday mchezaji wasiwasi yake tu anasema Sunday imefika game. Sasa haki nikicheza vibaya. Because mchezaji anafikiria akicheza ile game ya Gor Mahia vibaya, news that trend for the next kama 2 months. Na hiyo game itawahi mtoka kwa mind. Hiyo ni pressure. That is pressure. Before even I talk about financial pressure, hii pressure tu ya kuingia kwa game yenyewe, that is enough. Hiyo yenyewe ishakumaliza. Kama huwezi handle kwanza, kisha. That is why wachezaji, players are not performing for big teams. Some of the players pressure crumble under pressure. But watu wajiulizi kwa nini wana crumble under pressure. Can you handle the pressure? If you can handle the pressure, you can handle the mental part of yourself. That is why nimekuambia most teams sai Kenya labda hatujafika that level, most countries, but nchi mingi, most developed nations imefika ile time wameona mchezaji si uwanjani tu. Before ingie kwa uwanja, tutengeneze hapa juu kwanza. Number 2, kuna hiyo financial pressure. Because nikitoka kwa uwanja, Myles amekuwa the best player game, anaenda home, maybe hana anything. Hiyo ni pressure. Umetoka kwa uwanja, tumekuinua, you are trending everywhere, atukienda home labda, you have anything for the family. That is enough pressure for the player. So ni vitu ziko intertwined. Tuwezi sema ni system. System lazima ikuje ndio itupunguzie pia pressure. Pia si tukue tunaenda kwa uwanja. So for example, if clubs can respect the players' contract, hatuwezi kuwa na issues za hizi financial pressure, because players are being dropped left, right, center. So unapata mchezaji ana sign contract, anapiga hesabu, maybe anapata 100,000, anapiga hesabu in 5 months acha ni save, kesa watu wani drop in the 6th month, at least I have something. Unaona hiyo ni pressure. So there's a lot that tunaweza fanya, but unfortunately vitu hatuwezi change in a second, but there's a lot of pressure sana.
So to my final question, naweza uliza kwa hizo unasema mental pressure ama hizo pressure zenye ziko as an athlete individually, kama usha experience hizi ma pressure, how do you deal with that how do you deal with them individually?
Number one, lazima tuelewe kwamba people deal with pressure differently, especially kama kuna wale I know some wale wananyamaza, wana deal na kitu peke yao, is done. Ikienda vibaya, ikienda vizuri, well and good. But unapata wengine ikienda vibaya, maybe it can affect the progress yao. Unaona? Hiyo ndio sasa inakuwa shida. Kuna wale wanaongea, some talk, but how many? Because wengi wanaongea, labda kuna ile mtu anafikiria, Myles ananiona kila siku nacheka, kila siku I feel okay, I hide my pain. Mtu ana hide pain yake, but ile time inamhit, maybe it's too late. Kama tunaongea story, not footballers only, ongelea other sportsmen. Nikuwa na story ya Conjestina, hata the famous Kadenge. Unaona kitu alikuwa anapitia, but ulisema once alipass. Unaona ni pressure alikuwa anapitia. Every day you are trending everywhere, labda you don't have anything. Every day una trend everywhere, labda you are not manini. Unapata pia wachezaji kama mimi nilikuwa najaribu sana, najiambia kwamba if naweza handle pressure ya uwanja, because that is the first pressure inaweza nisumbua. Hiyo financial itakuja, whether before ama nini. Kama sina pesa na bado niingie kwa uwanja I perform, this nime handle hiyo the first pressure, which is the performance one. You lazima kitu ya kwanza as a footballer lazima ni perform kwanza before I even demand sema Myles uko na deni yangu, nimesha perform. Unaona? So the first thing lazima tukumbuke, tumalizane ile mambo ya uwanja kwanza. Once you finish with the part ya uwanja, ukikuja hata huku FC, for example, I have been fan of player of FC for the last like 8 years. I've been a captain, nimefanya nini, but nilikuwa na feel sometimes maybe kuna wakati we didn't have a sponsor, but once mnaingia kwa uwanja mkishinda, ile siku watu walikuwa wanachangiwa pesa kwa uwanja, napata, but only after mmecheza mmeshinda. Hii mkisha handle the first pressure ya kushinda, the second pressure ni wao, juu wanaona sasa tunaweza wapea excuse gani, washashinda. FC washashinda game tukiwa na a player akiwa kwa post, not a goalkeeper. Unaona? Player alikuwa kwa post. Unaona? So number one, lazima we handle our part. Hii part nyingine wacha tuwape pressure. Unajua you cannot always be demanding and you are not giving results. Unaona sasa? Hata kama mtu wako na deni yako, for example, mimi najua Kenyan teams, most of the teams are not paying, wacha tuseme consistently. Labda wanapata kwanza, especially kama vile hii COVID imekuja, tricky sana. But kitu ya kwanza lazima tujiulize kama wachezaji, because hata kuna other chairmans wanataka watu wa sign performance contracts. Unaona? Hiyo ni challenge kwetu na kwao, because mtu anakuambia hiyo perform ni kupe. Unaona? So wewe kitu ya kwanza before ufike ile pressure ikugonge, make sure you are doing your part. Na hiyo your part sana kama sisi ni kuche. Number 2, tusikue tuna hide. Hizi vitu watu wengi wanapitia. So many people. Si ni wachezaji, I think tuna understand. Because hata hii sio issue imeanza saa hii. Imekuwa ni kama historical issue kwa football, kwa other sports. So hide. Let us not hide the pain. Alafu tupate when it's too late. When it's too late ni kama hatuwezi change anything. So tujaribu sana. It's so hard. Ninaelewa sana. Because not all of us can amua kusema. That is why pia na encourage teams tukue karibu sana na wachezaji. Let it not be like kishamaliza kucheza mimi nimeenda home. 30th naenda nafinya ATM nimaliza. On Monday na travel tuliko game Kisumu. So unajua tukicreate ka bond, at least mtu anakuwa anaona ako very anaweza kuwa honest. Ama ana feel kwamba hata nikisema Myles anaweza nisaidia. Na because mimi najua shida mingi za wachezaji sana most of them hata apart from finance. Napata hizo ni shida zingine ni zile tunaweza tatua within ourselves. So tujaribu sana. Ni hard, ninajua. I have felt it. But the only way ni kama tunasema. Tukisema ndio mimi naonanga wachezaji wanachangiwa pesa. Kadenge alichangiwa pesa kama amekufa. Konje amesaidiwa after amesema. Kama angesema. So kumaanisha alikuwa anaumia tu, but nobody is talking. Na hiyo ndio inafanyika. Mimi nataka more and more footballers waseme. Na pia ni challenge kwa sababu pia mimi nimekuwa treasurer za organization ya wachezaji. I think hiyo ni issue moja lazima pia tujaribu, because hatuwezi achia tu federation and the teams, the government. Kwa sana we are more in contact with the players than even because si tunatembea pamoja. Wachezaji tunakaa pamoja. Unaweza pata unaenda mitaa unapata huko we have like 20-30 players wanakaa pamoja. So unapata the players organization wako more in contact with them. So kuna ile tunaweza saidia, because some of these pressures ama challenges zenye wanapata tunazijua kitambo. Lazima tupate mechanism nzuri ya kuwasaidia, because tusiposaidiana saa hii mbona unisaidie kama nimeenda.
That I agree with you kabisa. And like players should talk, should air their grievances, and not only that, also federation and the government should understand that players go through a lot. So sio lazima ati mtu aongee for them to do something. So as much as we're encouraging players to talk, also this federation should come out and to see, okay, this is the challenge we are facing with our sportsmen. What should we do? And then wanna get solutions to that. And yeah, so upon me agree with you on all that.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, kuna advice nataka kupea yote uko nje. Labda kuna fan wako hapo anataka kukaa wewe.
Ninawaambia tu jamaa, si rahisi. But many have done it. And if you feel kwamba upata hauna opportunity, uko na talent na hauna opportunity. Opportunities are there, but always show the urge that unataka. Na usingoje because hakuna kusukumana, iliisha siku hizi. Lazima uonyeshe unataka ndio mimi nikuchukue. Ama ule scout akuone. So always fungua macho, fanya bidii. Hiyo ndio solution. Hakuna solution nyingine. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
No, sasa tutaenda kucheza soka ama nikufunze yangu alafu wewe nifunze yako.
Pitch naona hapa iko sawa.
Rusha kidogo. Lakini nime appreciate sana for you coming. Thank you so much. Na najua unaongelesha vijana huko na wamesikiza na watafanya their best. Na in this world tunahitaji kila msee and we'll move forward. So thank you guys for joining us today. It was a very engageful discussion today. And what I can give you some 2 pieces of advice from me is that as much as you have talent, remember that hard work beats talent. Unaweza kuwa na talent lakini hujui kuitumia, umeikalia tu. But unaweza kuwa na hard work, you can be so hardworking. You don't have the talent but you can be so hardworking and you succeed. In short, life, it's all about hard work. You can learn anything. If you can learn a second language, there's nothing else you can't learn. As humans, we're given the biggest advantage, and it's that we can discover things. We have our knowledge, and yeah. So remember, guys, hard work beats talent. So work for what you're passionate about. Push on it. If you love soccer, continue playing till uambiwe no. Like ufike hapo uambiwe hawezi cheza. Until then, but hadi sai, continue playing. Because there's one friend of mine who gave me an advice, and I've always carried it to heart, is that the scariest answer you can be given by someone is a no. Okay? That's the only thing. So till next time, guys, thank you for joining us today. Good day. Asante sana. Unaona time imeflow tu hata tujakaa sana.
Tumepiga time
Tumekaa sana? Sana. Lakini hata sikuangalia tukianza. Tukiangalia starting.
Haijakaa hata.